Don't buy just because someone gives the arbitrary stamp of approval that any given project is his or her number one pick this year. And that's the reason why I have been very reluctant to give an overall scoring for any condo reviews I do because Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to deep dive into yet another new launch in the River Valley area, Zyon Grand. But with about 3,000 new units flooding the area in a short span of time, is Zyon Grand just another pretty face destined to get lost in the crowd, or is it truly a brilliant investment? We are going to find out. But before I zoom into the analysis, let me first take a step back and explain why I feel that there is an opportunity in the River Valley area right now, and because the market has fundamentally shifted. Well, for decades, CCR properties felt like this unattainable peak, super expensive, a different league altogether, and honestly, just out of reach for a lot of local buyers out there. There was always this massive price premium compared to RCR and the OCR region. And you barely look at CCR unless you had, a significant budget. But now, this gap is apparently shrinking. And I've explained the reason for the shrink in depth in my previous videos. You can check them out here, and I will leave a link in the description box below as well. In short, I've explained how there is a herd mentality out there now because there's this preconceived notion of what is the right kind of property. And this herd mentality has caused a tight supply amongst the more popular resale condos. I've also explained how this scarcity has pushed up the prices and opened up opportunities for savvy investors like yourself, who's watching my YouTube video now, and who are willing to explore previously overlooked areas. I've also discussed how property layouts are evolving thanks to new URA guidelines and how recent land bid prices are favoring towards the CCR properties. And these two factors give me pretty strong conviction that market is starting to shift towards the CCR. Alright, let's go back to Zyon Grand now. Let's quickly run through the project overview first. 99-year leasehold development by a joint venture between Singapore's very own CDL and a Japanese leading developer, Mitsui Fudosan. 2 blocks of 62 stories residential development and one tower of 36-story service apartment. This shorter tower here is the service apartment, 706 residential units ranging from 1 plus study all the way to 5-bedder and 2 super penthouses. Zyon Grand will provide unmatched everyday convenience as it is a mixed-use development. We are talking about retail, restaurants, supermarket, and even a childcare center right downstairs. And more importantly, it is integrated directly with Havelock MRT station on the TEL line, the Thomson East Coast line, meaning direct, sheltered access to MRT. Don't even need to take umbrella if it's raining. And this self-contained lifestyle is a clear advantage for those who value the seamless access to everything they need. And this is what Singaporeans love and typically should command a premium over time. But of course, everything has its pros and cons depending on how you take a look at it. This convenience, of course, comes with a trade-off for buyers. Any commercial element will inevitably have footfall, noise, activity. So the integrated nature of Zyon Grand, while convenient, may not appeal to buyers seeking a quiet environment. So for a prospective buyer, is the convenience of an integrated development more valuable than the quieter nature of a pure residential project? For myself, and I presume many buyers out there, especially professionals and families, the ability to access essentials and transport without leaving the development is something I think they and myself would really appreciate. In terms of location, Zyon Grand is technically in District 3, part of the RCR, not the CCR, even though you're just like one street away from the CCR. I don't think this is a deal breaker anyway lah. And preview tentatively scheduled to be on 17 October. If you are keen to go for the showflat preview and want a one-to-one consultation thereafter, feel free to contact me. I'll leave my number here. No obligation I promise. And to get the elephant out of the room first, a standout feature of Zyon Grand is the incorporation of Singapore's first ever long stay service apartment, the SA2 in short, meaning minimum 3 months stay compared to the regular service apartment or SA, where the minimum period of stay is 7 days. For Zyon Grand, this SA component will be housed in a separate 36-story tower, possibly with separate facilities and a separate gated area, but it is still part of the same overall development. Because it is a new pilot program, it is honestly a bit of an unknown. So potential concerns, how will it affect the day-to-day life of residents, privacy, exclusivity, and the overall feel of the place? Some buyers may dislike the higher population of tenants and the impression of transient residents, even if it's longer-term transient because they got to stay minimally 3 months. And these are exactly the question potential buyers like yourself will be asking. How well integrated or separated will the development feel? We don't have any previous cases in Singapore for this exact model within a condo development, except maybe for the reserve residences at Beauty World, but this condo hasn't reached the TOP stage yet. It is something to watch, and developers will need to manage this very, very carefully. Of course, without any precedent cases, anyone would think it is risky, but which investment is without its risk, right? To me personally, I look at it more in a positive angle. And from an investment perspective, this is actually a very, very big plus. Tenants have family visiting, and instead of putting them in hotels located much further away, their relatives, their parents can stay right within the same development, just opposite the block. And this makes this condo far more attractive to tenants who value convenience and family support. And especially when you think about it, there's a retail podium just downstairs. It is easy for them to meet over a meal or grab groceries together. And that kind of built-in convenience is hard to come by, and it strengthens the overall rental appeal, giving your unit an advantage. So next, I will move on to the pricing analysis. Zyon Grand will be the third launch in the River Valley cluster after the very successful launch of River Green and Promenade Peak. So pricing wise, Zyon Grand seems to have an advantage over the previous plots. In terms of land bids, Promenade Peak at 1304 PSF PPR compared to Zyon Grand at only 1202 PSF PPR. In fact, this is the lowest of the recent River Valley government land sale plots thus far. And that gives developers quite a bit more headroom to launch units at potentially more competitive prices compared to Promenade Peak. So here's the million-dollar question. Does lower land cost equate to selling at a lower price? And if a developer managed to win the land at a much lower price, this just means that they can earn a bigger margin by just selling at the accepted quantum in the area. And honestly, developers have no incentive to do charity lah. They are businessmen after all. Because to date, the nearby River Green has already sold close to 90%, Promenade Peak at almost 60%. So we need to ask ourselves whether CDL will actually sell low or capitalize on this opportunity and make more profits for their shareholders by selling at the same price or slightly higher than River Green and Promenade Peak. And I feel that Zyon Grand would at least price at about 2960 PSF on average, which is very similar to Promenade Peak's average pricing on launch day, even though they got the land the cheapest. Here's two reasons why. First, Grand Zyon is a mixed-use development with the retail element downstairs. Developer almost always charge a premium for this kind of convenience. You are not just buying an apartment, you are buying a piece of a self-sufficient ecosystem with shops, F&B, supermarket all downstairs. And that added value will be reflected in the price. And the second point here is a bit more complex, and that is because of the SA2 component. While the SA2 can bring in good rental income, that ROI is unpredictable because you can never be 100% certain on the occupancy rate. So as developer, I feel that to mitigate this risk and ensure a healthy return on their overall investment, I feel that CDL will load a higher PSF onto the residential side, because once the residential side is sold, the profits is definitely certain. So that's why Zyon Grand integrated design and the unique business model for the SA2 are likely the main drivers behind its higher price point than Promenade Peak and River Green. So next we compare the unit mix. I won't dwell too much on River Green because its investment angle is quite straightforward. The developer has used compact, efficient layouts that keep the overall quantum very low, making it feel more affordable as an entry point. And on top of that, around 70% of units being 1 and 2 bedders, it is clearly angled towards the investor crowd rather than the own-stay families. But the more interesting comparison lies with Promenade Peak and Zyon Grand. Both developments are just beside each other, and both are designed to appeal to a broader pool of buyers, not just investors. So let's take a look at the unit mix for these two developments. I think Zyon Grand stands out here because it has a higher percentage of bigger units, your own stay type of units. 58% of the units at Zyon Grand are 3 bedrooms or larger compared to Promenade Peak's only 33%. And this focus on larger units suggests that the project is designed to attract more own-stay buyers and families, which typically leads to a better resident profile and potentially stronger long-term resale value. And looking at the unit mix from a high-level perspective, you'll notice that Promenade Peak has pretty large 3-bedder, of course in today's context. And this, of course, increases the overall quantum. And do note that this 1033 3-bedder to me, honestly not the most ideal layout. In fact, I've told my client who was super interested in the layout to honestly walk away from this. No yard space, no WC, and overly long corridor space because of the positioning of the rooms and toilets. And this 1033 square feet has full-blown west sun as well. On the flip side, Promenade Peak offers 3-bedroom from the compact 818 square feet all the way to 1076 square feet. And I honestly hope for Promenade Peak, the 1055 and 1076 square feet layout can really plug the gap over here. offers a bit more at around the same size. Because if you refer to CDL's most recent project at Toa Payoh, more specifically Ori, they could squeeze in everything you expect from a 3-bedroom premium, 3 proper sized bedrooms, enclosed kitchen, bomb shelter, yard, and WC behind. And more importantly, this layout at Ori comes at only 1044 square feet. So I really hope CDL can come up with something nice. And I've created this Excel sheet here. This table on the left shows Promenade Peak transacted price and PSF segregated into different bedroom types. In the middle here, the table here in the middle, is the pricing for the remaining unsold units at Promenade Peak. And on the right is my own estimated pricing for Zyon Grand based on the unit sizes. And so for the 3-bedder 1055, 1076 square feet, even when I use a higher PSF at around 3K to 3.1K PSF, the overall quantum comes up to around 3.2 mil, just slightly more expensive than Promenade Peak. But hopefully overall livability and efficiency would trump Promenade Peak's 3-bedder lah. I will most probably do a part 2 once the official layouts are out. And do subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my analysis. Zyon Grand also has a 3 compact that offers a more palatable entry point. The 3-bedder compact comes at 818 square feet, estimated pricing from 2.2 million range, which is super attractive if you consider that for this price point, you are only getting a 2+ study at Promenade Peak, which to me, these 2+ study at Promenade Peak don't have the best layout again lah. So I feel that if you were super disappointed with Promenade Peak 2+ study and some of the 3-bedder layouts, you can really consider Zyon Grand 3-bedder compact 818 square feet all the way to the 3-bedder premium 1076 square feet. And if you have a slightly higher budget, go for the 3-bedder with private lift at Promenade Peak. One, firstly, for obvious reasons, because Zyon Grand doesn't offer any 3-bedder with private lift, so less competitors. And secondly, the resale competitors has transacted way higher than what you can get now at Promenade Peak lah. You can check out my other video here for more in-depth analysis for this specific unit type. And moving on to the 4-bedder, very interesting narrative here. If you recall, the more premium units for Promenade Peak are situated from level 44 onwards, only the higher floor, so naturally PSF will be higher. And as can be seen from the lowest transacted PSF for the 4-bedder with private lift at Promenade Peak, already at 3250 PSF, when the entire development average PSF is around 2960 PSF. And in this regard, look at the gap. Promenade Peak 4-bedder with private lift transacted from 4.62 million, minimally 4.62 million. And you could get a similar layout at Zyon Grand from potentially 4 million, easily $600,000 gap. And not only that, the low floor 4-bedder private lift at Zyon Grand could be at around the transacted quantum as the 3-bedder with private lift at Promenade Peak. One more bedroom at around the same price. I think pretty no-brainer lah. Some of the remaining unsold units at Promenade Peak is also as high as 4.1 mil already. So if you can get anything just slightly higher at around 4.2 mil, which is at the 3K, 3.1K PSF mark, still a pretty solid investment in my humble opinion lah. And for the next 4-bedder layout, Zyon Grand comes with an additional study. Promenade Peak doesn't have this layout. Similarly, because of the higher floors, which translate to higher PSF, the transacted quantum at Promenade Peak for the normal 4-bedder with private lift is pretty high. So for investors at Zyon Grand, you could get an additional study at potentially the same price, but of course at a lower floor lah, compared to Promenade Peak. Quite a good buy, I feel, especially if developers were to build this unit type facing southwards, and you don't need to go super high floors to enjoy unblocked views as well. Anyway, the full floor plans are not out yet, and once they are out, I will probably do a part 2 to revisit all these layout again. Apart from the 3 and 4-bedder, I hope Zyon Grand could potentially come up with some good 2-bedder layouts to fill the gap. And do subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my analysis. So by now, if you have been following me for quite some time, you would have realized that even if I say a particular condo is a fantastic buy, doesn't mean all layouts can buy. Don't buy just because someone gives the arbitrary stamp of approval that any given project is his or her #1 pick this year. So while a project might have all the right attributes, it is also important to zoom down to the smaller details like whether this specific layout you are looking at is plugging any gap within the vicinity. And that's the reason why I have been very reluctant to give an overall scoring for any condo reviews I do, because this might inevitably cause some FOMO buyers to just pull the trigger without first understanding the nitty-gritty details. Buying a property is probably the biggest purchase of your life. And because of ABSD, you only have one chance. So please do your own due diligence. Now, buying a property is not only about choosing the right development, but also choosing the right unit from the right stack within the development. So what I can't really do on YouTube is to do the stack analysis, the layout analysis, the facing, choosing the right floor, because there are just too many moving parts to consider on the launch day. especially if your ballot number isn't in your favor. So if you're unsure about that, please reach out to me so I can help you gain more clarity. Anyway, Zyon Grand is scheduled for preview on 17 October, and if you are thinking of buying a unit here or would like to discuss more in depth on the different unit types, you can reach out to me on my WhatsApp and I'll be more than happy to assist. So to wrap it all together, the unique features like the SA2, integrated lifestyle, and potentially plugging the gap for some of the layouts make Zyon Grand a good product for both own-stay buyers and investors. And with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more unbiased reviews. See you next time. Bye bye.